Dude. Let's go.
What is the best season of our favorite shows? This is... Anyway, welcome back to Versus. We are sitting down to discuss what is the greatest Power Rangers season here on Versus. I think I've said it enough times now. Our last episode.
The name of the show.
No, it's funny because like the whole first episodes we recorded, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna call it, and now I've decided on this, but who knows? It might change, and this might immediately outdate it. So I'll have to like bleep myself out and robotic voice it in. If you're just joining us, our last episode, we looked at Power Rangers Time Force versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was the first vote that we actually had a split, which was good. You know, good thing.
I want to recount.
There's 5 of us. I mean, you could literally see all the votes.
Fake news. No, I don't like it.
But this episode, we are going to be sitting down to talk about Power Rangers r.p.m. versus... I can't even say it without laughing. Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. I mean...
Yeah.
Do you guys like robots? Do you guys like vague treasure hunts? All right. Do you like one really good crossover?
Dude. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So in a couple of our previous episodes, I found some guests to talk about the brackets and just kind of giving a little bit of pros and cons. And I found 2 actually for this bracket because I knew it would be kind of a short episode. I brought on a couple friends here. So let's take it over right now to Austin.
Hey everybody, my name is Austin Jones, for those that don't know me, and I sometimes go by the name Omni Ranger as well, but it's honestly been a while. So this is for a debate between Jungle Fury and In Space. And
wait, what?
Hello everyone.
Uh-oh.
Ramp.
Uh-oh.
What's happening?
He recorded the wrong one, or I sent him the wrong one, or I put it out on the wrong.
Uh-oh. No.
This is going to be an even shorter episode.
Oh boy.
Austin, I'm so sorry. I don't watch them because I want to watch them first time with you guys just to like, you know, like react or have anything that's not like super scripted, you know, kind of a gut reaction to whatever they have to say.
Okay. I will say this.
Yeah.
I will say this. If we do a versus r.p.m. versus Overdrive, I will say 2 things. r.p.m. Was a fantastic show for the simple fact that like a lot of people don't know that that show had so many production, so much production drama, tons of production drama. So the fact, you know, between like writers, story editors, producers, all this stuff. Folks being fired, folks just leaving, folks standing in solidarity with others, folks, just like all this rift. The fact that they were able to make 32 episodes of a series that honestly, depending on where you lived in the United States at the time when this aired, you probably didn't get to see half the episodes.
Yep. Because
when r.p.m. aired, this was the last season that Disney was going to do any new Power Rangers because they were putting all their money in the adventures of Aaron Stone. Anyway.
I don't remember it either.
Anyway, the thing about it is that, from what I recall, this story was darker. This story also took place like in which I felt it was like an alternate dimension of Earth, like a dystopian Earth. And and so I was like, well, this is cool. It had a really cool. I thought that the main villain was I thought the main villain. Let's see, is it Vengeance? Yeah, I thought Vengeance was cool. I liked all the Rangers. Scott Truman still in my all-time phase with the curly fro. That's my dude. Scott's my dude, and I like the entire team. Honestly, it's probably took me after 2 or 3 years after this show came out, I was finally able to watch all the episodes because that's how difficult it was to get them and find them. So I never really got to watch it cohesively like the other Power Ranger series, but I thought the show was fantastic and I wish it had more than the 32 episode run. Now, Overdrive, you cannot sell me on Overdrive. The only thing that saves Overdrive is because once again Disney did it again. They gave you a dope, they gave you a dope team up episode, but it was a two-parter. And we got
That matters.
Oh yeah, because like we seldom ever got two-part team ups from two-part team ups. And it'd been a long time since we had gotten a two-part team up that really meant something. And so you get like Adam, you get Bridge, you get the lady from you get Tori, you get Kira, and I'm like, and you get Xander. And I'm like, oh, this is a dope squad. This is cool. I'm like, can we have them for the rest of the season? You know?
They're the best characters from each of those seasons.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it was perfect.
yeah, they were great. Here's Alpha 6. Here's Alpha 6 again. And although the Son of Lord Zit was kind of corny. Anyway,
really weird. And they put Alpha in a crate. Like that was Alpha's life after what? Lost Galaxy? He was in a crate.
Cold-blooded, dog. That's cold-blooded. Couldn't let him live, Couldn't you send him to Microsoft or something? No, dog.
Recycle him.
But like that team,
Like you didn't recycle him?
that team up episode saved them because besides that, like I found Overdrive to be boring. I found it to be just completely boring. No interest, no intrigue. Yeah. Oh, Mac's not human. Mac's a robot. Oh, hooray! I'm like,
came out of nowhere. That blew my mind. I was like, what? Where are we right now?
Yeah.
And that season had the most forgettable cast I've ever looked at. Just looked at in my life.
Spencer? Come on. The butler? Come on.
I honestly did not know what you're talking about.
I don't know exactly either. But here's the thing. Here's all you need to know. In the Once a Ranger episode, the moment they quit being Power Rangers, they immediately went back to their normal job and were like huge successes. Like one of them won NASCAR in like a day, and one of them was like a professor. And I'm like, oh yeah, none of you need any of this. Like it was ridiculous. But in r.p.m, I cared about every single one of those characters. They all had individual episodes that told me why I should care about them.
I'm Scottish.
I'm Scottish.
Well, not just that. In that episode, I loved it. I fell in love with that character because he showed that he's always a hero. At the end of the episode where his dad has a newspaper talking about the Blue Ranger and how proud he is, that was emotional. That was fantastic. And even like one's a preppy kind of spoiled girl, but she's not because she lost a butler. She did all this stuff. And it's a season where the Rangers already lost and they're just fighting for what little they have left. I love that. Like such a good season, such a great ending that has another payoff years later in a different season. Like fantastic.
I pulled up the message I had with Austin here, and it even says, I think I'll tackle r.p.m. So
Damn.
let's try to watch this one more time. Maybe he does talk about r.p.m. Maybe we just didn't watch long enough.
Hey everybody, my name is Austin Jones, for those that don't know me, and I sometimes go by the name Omni Ranger as well, but it's honestly been a while. So this is for a debate between Jungle Fury and In Space, and I was supposed to give a pro to In Space and a con to Jungle Fury.
Okay, no, I don't think he's gonna talk about r.p.m.
I don't think you understand what's happening.
No worries. We love you, buddy. Maybe he can come back. He'll talk about, maybe one of the matchups we have from one of the previous winners. But yeah, I do have one more video. So I kind of ended it. I gave out, the list of the matchups to a couple people that I knew had, good screen presence who could come on and, and talk and, say legible things, unlike me, about these shows. And I was trying to keep it one person per bracket per matchup to kind of have them weigh in a little bit, but I showed this to our next video guest, and he was just like, I know it's already taken, but I want it, give it to me. So, all right, here you go. So here is Jacob.
Oh no.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Digital Jacob here. You know me, I'm kind of the best. Anyways, welcome to whatever this show Squall is hosting now. I don't know what it's called yet. But anyways,
Me either.
This matchup, I'm going to be talking to you about Power Rangers Operation Overdrive and Power Rangers r.p.m. Let's get right into the pros and cons of each show. Now, starting off, let's talk about Operation Overdrive's pros and cons first, as it's kind of, the underdog in this situation, and the one that I'm a fan of personally. I think there's a lot of good to Operation Overdrive. I think the cast is pretty good overall. I think, Dax is a con. I will admit Dax is a con. Tyzon is kind of lacking, but I think they're all unique characters. I like how they all have different, jobs, like how in Lightspeed Rescue they all had different jobs. So I think that's cool. I think the idea of Mac being a robot is a really great twist.
Spoilers.
I think Once a Ranger, obviously very big highlight of the season, probably the highlight of the season. My personal favorite anniversary team up and just team up in general. I think it brings back, great past Rangers. Adam, you know how I feel about Adam. I think the finale or the last episode is one of the best, personally, in my opinion. I think I think the action's great. I love the, Max sacrifice in the end. But yeah, cons, I think they don't really develop the villains well, at least from what I can remember. I will say I've only seen Overdrive once or twice, as I have for r.p.m. So I will say I remember the villains being kind of lacking. Dax is a big con in my opinion. And others. I think Tyzon's kind of a con. He's kind of lacking. I think his backstory is really good. I love the idea of him being part of a rescue team. I believe that was in Bokender as well. I'm not too sure, but it might have been. I could be wrong. I'm sure there's some other cons. There's probably other cons that people have said that they don't like. I know the theme song is a con for some, but for me, I personally find the theme song very enjoyable and fun to listen to. So, let's shift gears and get right into r.p.m. I tried my best. It's hard to discuss pros and cons for r.p.m. because it's such, there's not really that many problems as there are with other seasons like Operation Overdrive. I know I didn't state that many cons about Operation Overdrive, but I know many other people do. So personally, I would give it to Operation Overdrive, who I think should win this debate purely on the fact that it's the underdog. I think it has a lot of heart. I like the treasure hunting aspect. I know r.p.m. has the very unique concept of being, the dystopian Mad Max future of Power Rangers, which is also cool. But I don't know, I like the treasure hunting aspect. They don't really globetrot a lot, but I like it when they do. I know r.p.m. will probably win this debate. I really do. I know r.p.m. will win. But I'm putting my heart out there for Operation Overdrive because they're the number one team.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. He does actually bring up a couple of good pros to Operation, but I just love that whole video. He's playing with an r.p.m. toy, has only said cons about Operation Overdrive, and says nothing about r.p.m. Oh, buddy. But I do
For those
agree
who don't know, Jacob. Oh, let me go. I'm sorry. Jacob is a close personal friend of mine. I love him so much with all of my heart, but Jacob, you did not try your hardest there, buddy. You did not sway me. I'm sorry.
He brought up Operation Overdrive's theme song. I will say that is one of my favorites too. I just, 5 heroes walking through the sun for 5 days. Dark
The theme
forces
song does
looming.
that.
I think it's it's one of those so bad it's good songs in my opinion.
I mean, it's so much better than r.p.m.'s, which if you were on YouTube at that time, there were so many cover songs or so many sample songs or songs that they were originally going to go with, demos as they sometimes call them too, that were just so phenomenal for r.p.m. And then all we get is Power Rangers r.p.m. We stand together. It's like, what is this? This isn't a theme song. This is awful. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
It's rough. It's rough. With these seasons, one thing I want to say about Overdrive really is that I think that they have a really good story in Overdrive. Just don't have the characters that work well in the story. And more than a lot of other seasons. I think Overdrive does a really good job of being like the serialized story with the treasure hunt. I think it makes it just works so well with adapting the Bowkinger footage of like finding just random things. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Bowkinger was just they've just found things, but like Overdrive, they like made it all lead up to one big thing at the end, where they had like a unified goal. And it just, I don't know, I think it works so well. And also like with the whole, I know we've talked about it here already a little bit with the Mac being a robot twist. Like it's such a good twist because it is something you don't see coming. It's not like it just was, they did it for the sake of doing it, because it's set up throughout the whole season. And you look back and you see, wow, this is actually like pretty crazy for Power Rangers to like set up this whole season-long twist and follow through with it. I do think the conclusion of it is a little cheesy with, you know, the spoilers, but how he just becomes a human at the end. But overall, I think there's a lot of really good Overdrive that just sometimes gets overlooked. Don't get me wrong, though. r.p.m is fantastic. I love r.p.m a lot. But I think Overdrive at the time was just not... for what it was at the time, it probably was like the weakest season. I think the Saban Brands era has kind of shifted that perspective a little bit. I think it's no longer...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've actively gotten a lot
We've
worse
evolved.
than this.
Also, his
Yeah,
camera's
we
frozen.
definitely-
He just looks pissed off right now.
Hey there, my name's Ryan H. Nelson, aka Rye Guy, aka Lionel R. Guy. I suppose if the fandom's going to know me for anything, it might be for my voice work as Lord Draken and Classic Billy in Power Rangers Unworthy, and as Draken and regular Tommy in Power Rangers Shattered Past. Now, am I going to pretend that doing those things gives me any actual like clout to like be judging things? Like not necessarily, but you know, just putting down my credentials. r.p.m versus Operation Overdrive. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Operation Overdrive wasn't going to win this tournament. I think we all know that. I mean, if you thought that Operation Overdrive stood a, ice cream cone's chance in hell, then, I mean, welcome to what must be your first day in Power Rangers fandom, and enjoy your stay. Okay, now to be fair, I honestly think Overdrive is legit underrated and underappreciated, and understandably so. I say this as somebody who hated this season for a long time, but I gotta be honest, like the morph sequence is one of my favorites. The fight scenes, especially the American ones, like they're some of the best and most impressive that they've had in many years, and even since. Okay, and now, not to mention, despite all the flack it gets, Once a Ranger kind of went to show that Disney, or at least Bruce Kalish, like, gave more of a shit about Power Rangers and the franchise and the characters than Saban seemed to half the time. As to why r.p.m rightfully deserves to take the top spot alongside the now fallen Time Force, may it rest in robbed peace. Yes, I'm still salty about last week's loss versus Nation. I'm not letting this go. This series did not get a fair shake. It did not. It didn't air on Jetix, and it was pushed to bullcrap early morning slots on ABC, and that's if you even got it, which I did not, because my local affiliate here in Milwaukee decided it wasn't educational enough for their programming block, so I had to watch the entire series on YouTube. But I digress. Power Rangers r.p.m is the PR show I can show episode 1 to friends who A, have never seen Power Rangers, B, haven't seen Power Rangers in many years and have a very skewed memory of it, or C, flat out, completely and utterly hate Power Rangers. So, in summary, it's tied with Time Force as the best friggin' PR series that has ever been and may ever be. Avenge your fallen, chronically displaced comrade, Corinth team! Oh, and follow me on twitch.tv/LionelRGuy. I play Power Rangers games sometimes.
So let me put this in a different light. My girlfriend didn't grow up on Power Rangers, so we did a little test where we watched like the first few episodes and the last few episodes of every season. When we got to Overdrive, she's like, what the hell is happening? I think that's enough for me. I think we should stop going through all this. Like, it's one of those things you look at and just go, okay, like, I just, it pains me sometimes to watch the cast try and act, personally. And then there's a butler and an absentee treasure hunting dad, and like all these, like, I feel like the story idea written down on paper is good, but then the execution isn't there in any sense. Like, no one said, okay, so where do we go after the opening? I don't he's a robot. Yeah. Like,
has anybody here? I'm sure we all have watched The Office, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Scott's hit blockbuster action film Michael Scorn, where he's got the butler who is a robot, and he's doing all these robot things, but he cut out all of the pieces of the robot until the very end, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I did let him be a robot." That's kind of what this also feels like.
A perfect comparison. I love it.
Even though we don't have to defend it that much. Like I mentioned before, r.p.m. is such a fantastic season because the concept, because the execution, because like almost felt like love and care. Because I think you guys tell me if I'm wrong. They thought this was gonna be the last season of Power Ranger. So the idea that the season felt something, it had an urgency to the story and behind the scenes, but also it felt like an honest season where we said, okay, this might be the end of it, so let's just go for it. Let's be a little self-referential and talk about how the Zord has googly eyes and like break the fourth wall a little bit. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Should try to get canceled more often because they always produce like their greatest seasons when they're on the verge of being done forever.
Yeah, really. Because hey, screw it. Let's just do this. Let's just do that because we're competent writers and we want to prove it before we leave. So I think that happens a lot. Yeah. I think Overdrive is a perfect example of getting way too comfortable and just saying, "Don't worry, kids will buy it. Kids will like it." Yeah. Like no.
I feel like there's a level to it too with your cast, because Jungle Fury is the season in between these two. And Jungle Fury does have a very memorable cast. Like, I feel like Operation Overdrive really sort of put the heat on whoever was in charge of that, producing, casting, to really find a good dynamic team. And like, they have names in Jungle Fury, like Anna Hutchinson, who plays the Yellow Ranger. Like, she was in Cabin in the Woods. Like, you have these actors that actually have gone on and done other things. And then r.p.m. is literally the season outside of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers where almost every single person in that cast has gone on to do something. They might not be I forget what her name is, who played Yellow. Like, she's iZombie now, like, or was. She was in like The Lovely Bones. Like, she did a lot of crazy stuff. Same with Red Ranger, what's his name?
Darville.
Yeah. Like, he was in
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, that's what it was. Jessica Jones. Like, they've gone on to do awesome stuff because I feel like they really decided to take the time after Operation Overdrive to find actors. And I feel like that's kind of what's happened with the Saban era now too. You've had 6 seasons of people who are gymnasts or people who are stunt, actors, or people who are really physically active, or they live in New Zealand, and, they give them the job, and, you kind of have mixed results. And with the last couple of seasons that they've done, they've tried to get like actual actors in. Like, the beast morphing acting is already like, a step up from what we've had these last few seasons, and I'm really excited about Dino Fury because they actually have accredited actors like Russell Curry, who plays the Red Ranger. He is like an actual like comedian, so like you're gonna get funny scenes and they're actually going to stick, hopefully. But I feel like everything we're gonna say awesome about r.p.m. is just gonna be saved for the next r.p.m. episode, because I feel like I already know how we're gonna vote.
I was just thinking that too.
Yeah.
But anyway, 1 for r.p.m., 2 for Operation Overdrive. 1, 2, 3. Alsace is still looking really mad there.
Oh no! Do I even need to say it?
He doesn't like this outcome.
I'm pissed.
Me last episode.
There we go.
There you go. You're back.
All right, r.p.m. is our winner. Operation Overdrive, it is. It's one of the lower ones, thankfully, with Sabans. Like, I know, Josh, you love Samurai, Megaforce. Like, those are really kind of lower tier when you compare them in the wide gamut of all these other seasons.
I absolutely agree with that. they just have a lot of meaning to me for like just sentimental reasons.
Of course. Well, that one actually took a little bit longer than I was expecting than just getting in saying, okay, let's vote.
Yes.
Our last matchup here, you guys, on our first round of all 16 of these is going to be, you ready? Power Rangers Dino Thunder versus Power Rangers Mystic Force.
That's a tough one for me personally. All right.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be like a one that's going to split us too. Good seasons for both of them for different reasons. Anyway, that's all we have for this episode of Versus. We will see you guys all on the next one. Don't miss it.
I picked a lot of facial expressions.
I'll choose the best one. Actually, it looked like your camera was frozen, so you only get one.
Oh, great.